Past 50 years, China has gone from a very basic poor economy with a GDP roughly the size of Canada's, which is not very big, to the second largest economy in the world. And there are some, according to some calculations, using personal purchasing power, China has the largest economy in the world. It's outstripped the United States. And it's also become the world's manufacturing hub and a country whose economy really determines the health of the world economy. So that's quite an accomplishment.
Indeed. So obviously along the way, there would have had to be a number of milestones for them to get to this point. Walk us through some of these key accomplishments that have really propelled China's economic growth.
The first would be that it's taken part in the political resolution of a lot of hotspots in the world. So there's Libya, there's Israel-Palestine, the Iran nuclear issue. China is a signatory on that, on the nuclear agreement. Afghanistan, South Sudan, and Sudan. So those are some major hotspots in the world where China played an active role as within its role as a permanent member of the UN Security Council. China is also probably the largest contributor of peacekeeping forces to UN peacekeeping missions around the world. I think since 1990, it's contributed something like 50,000 Chinese troops to these peacekeeping missions. Right now, it has, I think, 2,200 peacekeepers currently in peacekeeping missions. And it also has a standby force of 8,000 peacekeepers ready to go in addition to the 2,200. So they're very, very active in that and the largest in the world. There's also been China's participation in international nuclear arms agreements, including the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and the treaties that prohibit biological and chemical weapons. They're also involved in efforts to bring about some sort of global standard for the use of cyber as a weapon. There's right now there is no treaty that controls what people can do in terms of damage on the internet. And China proposed actually the first code of conduct for behavior on the internet for nations. Then there's the Belt and Road Initiative, of course, which has improved development in countries. And then there's climate change. China is a leader in that. I think it has something like 16% of the power that China produces comes from non-fossil fuel sources. And that's essentially the international standard right now. It's the world's number one in terms of hydropower, solar, wind, and nuclear power plants in terms of those facilities that they're constructing at the moment. They're the leader in that. So that's just a sample of what they've done. There's more, but we don't really have time for
As you mentioned, certainly a laundry list of accomplishments in this time. What role would you say the United Nations has played in a lot of the progress that we've seen from China?
The United Nations basically provides the framework for all this. The United Nations is the standard bearer for multilateralism. One of the main things is to advance the principle of international law. There are after World War II, the United States emerged as the victor in that war, and they created institutions around the world that established a world order according to the United States. The UN, in many cases, its world order or its international order overlaps with that, but in some cases it doesn't. And I think China subscribes to the UN world order as opposed to the US dictated world order. And its actions at the UN strive to advance that UN world order as the one order that the world should be following.